Right now, somewhere in your house, there's a stove. Maybe you used it this morning. Maybe you're going to use it tonight. You probably didn't think about it for more than 2 seconds. But what you did, taking raw ingredients and applying heat to them, is the single decision that separated your ancestors from literally every other creature that has ever lived on this planet. And here's something that should bother you a little. Your gut is too small. Compared to every other primate on Earth, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, your digestive system is dramatically undersized for an animal your size and weight. By all biological logic, you should not be able to survive on what your gut can actually process. And yet, here you are, watching a video, probably a little hungry. The reason your body is built this way goes back to something one of your ancestors did around a fire, roughly 1.8 million years ago. Something no animal had ever done before in the entire history of life on Earth. And the reason they did it had nothing to do with hunger. Okay, so let's talk about what most people think happened. Because the story we usually get goes something like this. Early humans were struggling. Raw food wasn't cutting it. Someone discovered fire, held some meat over it, realized it tasted better, and that was that. Boom. Cooking. Civilization eventually followed. And look, that's not completely wrong. It's just that it skips over the parts that are actually insane. Because cooking food didn't just change what ancient humans were eating. It changed what they were, physically, neurologically, socially. It rewired the body so completely and so permanently that modern humans literally cannot go back. We'll get to what I mean by that in a minute. But first, you need to understand what life looked like before any of this happened. Because it was not good. Go back about 2 million years. The thing walking around at that point wasn't us. Not even close. It was a group of early hominins, basically creatures stuck halfway between the apes they came from and the humans they were slowly becoming. Their brains were getting bigger, which sounds great, except a bigger brain comes with a price tag. The human brain burns through roughly 20% of all the energy your body takes in every single day, just to exist, just to keep running. That's an enormous amount of fuel for something that doesn't move, doesn't hunt, doesn't do anything visible. And 2 million years ago, that fuel had to come entirely from raw food, which is where the problem starts. Raw food is genuinely terrible at delivering calories. Not just for us, for basically every animal. The energy locked inside a raw plant or a raw piece of meat is mostly inaccessible, without a huge amount of digestive effort. A chimpanzee spends around 6 hours a day just chewing. 6 hours. That's not an exaggeration. Their jaw muscles are enormous. Their gut is massive. Their entire body is basically a raw food processing machine. And even with all of that, they're constantly running close to empty. They eat almost nonstop because they have to. The moment they stop, they start burning through energy reserves they don't have. Their whole existence is organized around finding the next thing to put in their mouth. There is no leftover time. There is no leftover energy. There's just eating, resting briefly, and eating again. Your ancestors had the exact same problem. Growing brain, expensive to power, raw food that barely kept up with the cost. Something had to change. Something had to give. Then, at some point, and we genuinely don't know exactly when or how, someone held food near a fire. Maybe it fell in by accident. Maybe someone was cold, and their dinner was too close to the flames, and they pulled it out and ate it anyway because they were hungry, and it smelled different. We don't know. What we do know is what the bones tell us happened next. And the bones are wild. The oldest solid evidence of controlled fire use is from a cave in South Africa called Wonderwork Cave, about 1 million years old. Burnt plant material and charred bone found deep inside. Not from a wildfire, not from lightning, but from a fire that someone kept burning underground on purpose. Then, around 800,000 years ago, something shifts in the fossil record. The evidence for consistent cooking starts showing up more widely, and right alongside it, the bodies start changing. The jaws get smaller, the teeth get shorter, the rib cage gets narrower, which tells us the gut underneath it was shrinking, and the skull gets bigger, noticeably bigger. Every single one of those changes. Same time, same direction, same fossils. That's not a coincidence. That's a before and after. The person who put all of this together most clearly was a biologist at Harvard named Richard Wrangham. He spent years working on what he called the cooking hypothesis. And the core of it is actually pretty simple once you hear it. Cooking is pre-digestion. When you heat food, you break down the cell walls of plants. and unravel the proteins in meat before they ever enter the body. So the digestive system doesn't have to work nearly as hard. The calories become way more accessible. A cooked sweet potato gives you almost double the usable energy of a raw one. Cooked meat gets processed faster, more completely, with a fraction of the effort. So if digestion suddenly gets dramatically easier, what happens to all the biological machinery that used to handle the hard version? It shrinks. The jaw doesn't need to chew for 6 hours anymore, so the muscles get smaller. The gut doesn't need to ferment raw plant matter for hours, so it gets shorter and narrower. And all the energy that used to run that enormous digestive system has to go somewhere. And it went up, into the skull, into the brain. Brain expansion and cooking evidence. They line up almost exactly. Not close. Almost exactly. We didn't get intelligent and then figure out cooking. We figured out cooking and then got intelligent. Which means the brain you're using right now, the thing making you curious about this, making you capable of watching a video about ancient history, making you able to plan and imagine and wonder, that brain is partly the product of fire. Somebody cooked something, and that energy went into building you. That's not metaphor. That's biology. Now here's the part that I think is actually more interesting than the brain thing. And this is where most people stop paying attention, when they probably shouldn't. Raw food has to be eaten immediately. You find it, you eat it there, you kill something. You eat it where it falls. You can't really store it. You can't prepare it somewhere else and bring it back. You can't save it for later. Every meal is just immediate, individual. You eat, you move on, you look for the next thing. That's how every other animal on Earth operates. That's how your ancestors operated for hundreds of thousands of years. And then cooking changed it completely. In one move, the moment food has to be cooked, has to be tended, managed, watched, waited for, it creates something that had never existed before. A meal, an actual scheduled event, something you have to sit still for, something you do with other people. And this is where it gets strange and interesting, because think about what happens when a group of people are sitting around a fire, waiting for food. You can't leave, the food isn't ready. So you just sit there with other people, in relative safety, because the fire keeps predators away, with nothing immediately threatening you. And for animals that had spent millions of years in constant vigilance, always hungry, always scanning, never fully at rest, that stillness was completely new. That safety was completely new. And in that stillness, something happened that couldn't have happened any other way. People started actually talking to each other, not just communicating. Every animal communicates. Actually talking, telling stories about things that happened yesterday, arguing about things that might happen tomorrow, making jokes, gossiping about who did what and why, asking questions about the sky, and the animals, and the dead, and what happens after. The first place in human history where a group of people could stop surviving long enough to start being something else. And you can see what came out of that in the archaeology. Musical instruments made from bird bone, cave paintings of animals in motion, jewelry carried hundreds of miles to be traded with strangers. None of that is survival. All of it requires time and stillness and other people to share it with. The fire gave them all three at once. And then, and this one's easy to miss, there's what cooking did to human relationships. In almost every hunter-gatherer group ever studied, the person tending the fire and preparing the food is in a vulnerable position. They can't hunt. They can't run easily. They need someone nearby. And Wrangham argues that this very specific vulnerability, I will stay and cook, you will stay and protect me, is one of the original roots of human pair bonding. The earliest version of two people deciding to take care of each other. You protect me while I cook. I feed you when you come back. That arrangement, repeated across thousands of generations, baked itself into how humans form relationships. Cooking might have invented the partnership. The oldest agreement between two people, not written anywhere, just practiced every evening around a fire until it became who we are. Here's how permanent that became. By the time modern humans show up, 300,000 years ago, cooking is already ancient, already been happening for over 1 million years. And the body has been changed so completely that we genuinely cannot go back. People who try strict raw food diets long-term all hit the same wall. Constant energy deficiency, significant weight loss, and in women, The body often stops menstruating entirely because it can't extract enough calories to justify reproduction. That's not a lifestyle problem. That's biology saying, this isn't sustainable. We are cooked food animals. We have been for so long that the hardware for anything else has basically been dismantled. You were built for fire. So here's the full picture. 1.8 million years ago, someone held food near a flame. They didn't know what they were starting. They didn't know that decision would shrink their gut and grow their brain. They didn't know it would create the campfire, and that the campfire would create conversation, and that conversation would eventually become language, and that language would eventually become everything. They were just hungry, and the food smelled different, and different was worth trying. And from that one moment, in one direction, an unbroken chain of meals runs all the way to your kitchen this morning. The stove you didn't think about. The food you heated without considering what it meant. You didn't invent cooking. Cooking invented you. And if you're sitting there wondering what happened next, what did ancient humans do with all that extra brain power once cooking freed it up? That question has an answer. And it's just as strange as this one. It's the next video. See you there.